And I realize when I'm looking to my partner to validate me in those things, it's because I'm not actually validating myself. It's nice to hear those things from my partner, but I shouldn't need to hear them for me to know that I'm doing a good job. First and foremost, even 7 years into this relationship where we have 2 children, I need to validate myself first. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Honest Conversations with me, Rainbow Rach. Thank you so much for being here. And if you don't know me, I am a medicine woman. I'm an intuitive healer. I am a space holder and a doula for people going through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And then also like what the postpartum experience can bring up in your relationship. And I'd love to just examine today trusting your intuition, especially in relationships. And to fully give you the picture of this, I need to talk about my very first relationships when I was 15 and 18, and just the things that I wish I could go back and tell my younger self. And I really hope that, I'm putting this out there with the intention that people of all ages will find this and resonate with something and hear something that will click in their mind, and they now get to like choose better for themselves if maybe they haven't been doing that already. But also for those younger people, the teens listening, like I want you to be able to change the trajectory of your relationships from sharing my experience with you. So I think a lot of us can relate to this idea that like our first, boyfriends were very like insecure with, and, we're like, I just think in your teens and even your 20s, I'm in my 30s and I'm like still figuring things out. But it's all like a non-linear growth curve. But especially when you're younger and you're just now coming out of like being a kid and you're like, oh, I am feeling like I'm getting to be a young woman. I think that a lot of us put a lot of our value in a relationship, and not just women, like men too. I have 2 little boys. And I hate this emphasis that people say like, oh, well, women have this and it's so hard for women in this area, and men are just completely ignored or grouped all together. That's not how it is. And maybe that's because I have a twin brother, and so I've always had that male perspective in mind, but these things aren't just women-centered, and I think that's very important. So my first relationship was very unhealthy, I guess is the best word for it. And that's not to say that we didn't have good times together, but then there were also things happening. Like there was a situation where my first boyfriend was like emotionally cheating on me, and I was basically abandoning myself in my head when I would try to justify his actions and think like, oh, well, he said, that they're just friends. There was like one situation in particular where like my ex-boyfriend would like give this girl rides all the time, even over giving me a ride. And at the time, I just didn't have the confidence or the self-awareness to be like, this is fucked up. Like, I just explained away his actions. And I just think it's so detrimental to ourselves. And I probably could have saved a lot of heartache by just listening to that voice within me that was saying, something's not right here. This doesn't feel good. Like the second that we're in our brains trying to justify someone's actions is the minute that we really have to like step back and look at what their actions are speaking versus what their mouth is speaking. People can say whatever they want, particularly guys especially young guys who are horny as hell. They're still figuring out their bodies, their sex drive, their desires, and they'll tell you anything. And especially if it's your first sexual relationship, you will justify things. I think it's really important to look at what your family thinks too. I think, obviously, if your family has your best intentions in mind, I know not everyone is privileged enough to have that, but your family, your friends, like, what do they think of this person? If you're constantly having to build up your significant other to your friends and family and being like, no, he is a really good guy, you shouldn't have to justify it. Their actions should just show how they are, the way that they treat you, the way that it adds to the happiness that you have on your own, should speak for itself. And that's a big thing too. I think we need to teach young people especially, but everyone might need this lesson, that your happiness on your own is the thing that comes first. It doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or you're single. You should or if you have kids, because I know my own journey in having kids, I found every excuse in the beginning to not put myself first and felt guilty about pouring into my relationship with myself. But at the end of the day, like, all we have is ourselves. We are born in this world alone and we leave alone. I was born as a twin, so I came with someone, but more likely than not, we will not die at the same time, unfortunately. And so you really have to know how to stand on your own 2 feet. And the only way to do that is by getting to know yourself, like doing things by yourself. And I know that that can be scary for some people, but the foundation that you set for the way that you show up for yourself and treat yourself, speak to yourself, allow certain people into your life, like having these boundaries speaks volumes, and it also lays that foundation for a relationship to only add to that. Because if you're so good on your own, then you will not accept any love that doesn't match to what you can give yourself. It's the biggest thing I would tell my youngest self. And also, if they're out and about without you and you are worried, you're sitting there worried that they're cheating on you or that they're doing shady things, probably not the person for you. And also, probably listen to your intuition because I can tell you now, from being in a healthy relationship and healthy marriage, I don't care if my husband is out and I know that, he's in a situation where girls might be trying to talk to him and get his number. Like, let them do that, because I trust him, and it just comes so naturally for us. And even like within married couples, I know there's this very toxic idea that, if they aren't wearing their wedding ring, then how is someone going to know they're married? If they're a different person with their wedding ring than they are without it, red flag. That is not the person that you want to be with. Like, right now, this is my ring finger. My ring doesn't fit on me anymore because I was pregnant, and my fingers have not gone down to their normal size, I guess. And my husband isn't giving me flack about like, well, you don't have your wedding ring on, so how are people going to know you're with someone? My actions when I have my wedding ring on and when I don't are the same. I am the same person. And so is my husband. And if for some reason, like, either of us ever did stray from our relationship, there would need to be a discussion about it. What was the underlying issue here? What's going on? And then it would be up to us if we wanted to move forward or not in our relationship. But yeah, I just think there's this, like I said, very toxic idea that your significant other, if they're not wearing their wedding ring, then you have to worry. If that's who you're with, not the person for you. Maya Angelou has this quote: when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And that's so true. in relationships and not in relationships. And again, I just think it's so important to build your own self up without someone having to also build you up. And oftentimes the thing that we're searching for from our partner, like I know in my personal example, it would be like recognizing all of the things I'm doing around the home or our garden to like keep this house a home and to keep our finances in order and to keep our lights on and our electricity running and just like how great of a mother I am. And I realize when I'm looking to my partner to validate me in those things, it's because I'm not actually validating myself. It's nice to hear those things from my partner, but I shouldn't need to hear them for me to know that I'm doing a good job. First and foremost, even 7 years into this relationship where we have 2 children, I need to validate myself first. And then even with my husband, like he is an avid fisherman. He is fishing every second he gets a chance. And I used to take that really personally, like, well, you don't want to hang out with me, so what's going on here? And just like I need my own time, and I preach this all the time, like water your own garden, be in love with yourself, take care of yourself. Like I need to let him do those things. Fishing for him is a way that he is taking care of himself. And so instead of seeing it as like, oh, he doesn't want to hang out with me, it's like, that's not it. He needs to go foster his own relationship with himself. And he does that through fishing. It's different than what I would do. I would be on a yoga mat, or I'd be curled up reading a book or watching a show or in my office recording a podcast. But yeah, I think it's very important that you're not just trying to mesh with someone else and thinking like they need to love me, and not be able to love your own self on your own without that person's validation. So I think that's all I want to say on that topic. And then, I have so much more I want to say about relationships, but I think I want to dedicate an entire episode to like keeping it spicy in a relationship whenever you have kids, like what sex might look like and how it might change after kids. I don't know if that's going to be the next podcast, but it's definitely going to be another podcast that drops this summer. And yeah, you can go binge my YouTube channel. You can go binge my TikTok, my podcast. If you want to check out my website, it's rainbowreach.com. And yeah, I try to post a podcast every Friday. Sometimes it might be the weekend. This one's going out on a Sunday, and that's okay. And on that note too, I just want to say like being gentle with yourself, always a good practice. It can be hard to do because we live in a capitalist world. If you're in the States or like any first world country, I feel like a lot of them are capitalistic societies where the narrative is our worth is tied to how productive we can be, how much money we make, how much we can put on our plate and handle, when in reality, I think we have to define what success means for us, because everyone will have a different definition of success, but also just being kind to ourselves and allowing ourselves to rest, not having this goal in mind and being like, I'll be happy when I reach this goal, or I'll rest whenever I reach this goal. Because if we're just going all the time and then that goal does come, we have no practice of slowing down and being grateful and being proud of ourselves, and then we'll just be moving on to the next goal. So this is really something that we have to foster when we're talking about relationship building with ourselves, is like slowing down, being proud of ourselves. I know it sounds so cliche, but being present and actually looking around and being like, wow, like I'm so happy I have this and this and this, and I'm so proud of myself for this and this and this, and really evolving that over time and practicing that in our daily lives. I don't think we have to wait to rest until the weekend or wait till a project is done to be able to rest. I think rest is something that we should strive to do in our every single day experience. Whether it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, I think we all deserve rest. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that it was as fun for you to watch as it was for me to make it. I love sharing all of the lessons that I'm learning, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you want to dive deeper with me, I have a course called Heal Your Shit. That's right, it's Heal Your Shit. Pretty self-explanatory. The modules all dive into creating a more bonded relationship with yourself. We go deep into setting boundaries. We go into exploring the inner critic, those really like critical thoughts of yourself, and healing those, and getting really good tools to add to your own healing practice that I've used in mine. And everything so far that's been recorded is from me pre-therapy. And this year, 2023, I'll be adding a few modules and updating the course through the lens of someone who's been to therapy for 2 years now consistently, and who's gained even more tools. So the link is below the video to see more details about the course, see if you are called to it, drawn to it, want to dive deeper with me. Yeah, I just want to share with everyone else like the things that have really helped me just become the best version of myself. And if you watch this video, you have a special coupon for 20% off of Heal Your Shit. That code is HEAL, HEAL. And again, if you enjoy my content, even if you just stumbled upon this, feel free to like the video. It immensely helps me find other people who need the content like this, and for me to keep showing up on your page if you like it. And if you want to be notified whenever my new content drops, I don't really keep a particular schedule, but I do just make videos as they're pouring out of me. So I try to do it at least twice a month. But go ahead and subscribe if you want to be notified. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching all the way to the end.